metaphorically or rhetorically or poetically or theoretically or in any other fancy way. I'm death. Straight up.
The irony of the scene is not lost on me. At the beginning of this movie, Puss does not fear death. He laughs in the face of it. But once he meets death for the first time, he truly feels fear. He's scared of death. But in the end, he is the legend, Puss in Boots. But while everyone else sees him as just Puss, he is Puss in Boots. Puss in Boots is the legend. Puss in Boots walks alone. He is a hero, a fighter. He goes from town to town, everywhere. When Puss first meets death, we're given two options. He can either pick up his hat or pick up the sword. And the hat he picks up. But why? It's because the hat is part of him. The hat makes up Puss in Boots. It is a part of the whole of the legend. And another thing, anytime we unwillingly see Puss's hat off, he's scared. When Puss's hat is first off in this first fight, he's scared that he's gonna lose his life. The second time is when he sees death again and has that anxiety attack. The third time is when he's confronting Kitty and Kitty takes off the hat for him. He's still scared at that moment, just it's not a life or death situation. Puss hates being afraid. He hates being alone. He hates being vulnerable. And he hides that with his arrogance, a mask of enjoying being the legend, of the enjoyment of being loved by everybody. And that reminds me of a character who learned a similar lesson. Mufasa and Simba's conversation under the stars is one of my favorite conversations just ever. It's a showing of how one can be a great father, but also by teaching his son more than just about bravery, more than just about the lesson. He's learning to be vulnerable with Simba. That's his child. Mufasa is supposed to be like this beacon of bravery, of strength for Simba. But in that moment, he's being vulnerable with him. He's doing something that normally fathers think they shouldn't, and that's to show weakness. But in fact, showing weakness is a strength. Mufasa says it himself, being brave doesn't mean you go looking for trouble. It means having the strength to do something when you are scared. And then he admits to Simba that he was scared today. He was scared that he might lose his one and only son. Now, how is this like Puss in Boots? Well, Puss in Boots puts on a brave face, because in reality, he's scared. And it shows. When he is down to his last life, he's scared that he might lose everything. He might lose being the legend, being Puss in Boots. Because being the legend is the only thing he has left. Because he's allowed his pride and hubris to push away everything that he's cared about. Everything that he's cared about. Kitty, Humpty, his friends, Shrek and Donkey. Those people are not in his current life because he's too into being the legend of Puss in Boots that he doesn't allow anyone in. It's like he said himself, the legend's so big, there was no room for anyone else. Now, Puss's fourth meeting with death, what happens? He finds out that the bounty hunter chasing him is death, and he's kept track of all 8 of Puss's lives, and he's here for that last one. Now, why is that? It's because Puss in Boots doesn't value any of them. Puss in Boots never once valued his life, and in turn, he's never respected or feared death. In the final fight with death, Puss has the chance to run away like he did the first time. But instead, in a metaphorical sense, instead of picking out the quote-unquote hat, he takes a sword. In the end, he does pick it up and he fights back. He says that he's done running away because he learns to be brave. Even though he's scared, even though that he's fighting death itself, he still fights back. And in the end, death lets him go. Why? Because the legend of Puss in Boots is now dead. So even though death is death literally, he has killed Puss in Boots metaphorically. Puss is metaphorically and poetically gone. Puss in Boots, the legend that is, the one that death hated the most, the one that did not fear or respect death. But the person in front of death right now is a man, or is a cat in this sense, that respects death. He can look at death in the eye and respect him. Puss even acknowledges that one day he will meet him again, truly confirming to himself that death will come after him. And in the end, death will win, because Puss in Boots cannot escape death. But Puss in Boots learns to value his life now, the people, the things he has. He learns to be vulnerable with Burrito, with Kitty. He learns to admit that he's scared. He learns to admit what's troubling him. And by the end of the movie, he's going to see some old friends, old connections that he had, people that he's built a bond with, because Puss has now learned what it truly means to be alive. His old self is now death. His old self is now dead, and just Puss is going to reunite with his old buddies.